today we're talking about the Microsoft not-for-profit product, which since we have scheduled this session, they've announced changes. So it's probably good timing, for groups and clubs that have already received the Microsoft not-for-profit grant, and also for those that are thinking about applying for it, what the changes might mean and what they can access under the new rules after the 1st of July this year. So, and then after that, so I'm going to be talking to that, and then Deborah is going to talk to us about some of the free alternatives that you might be able to share with your club members. So we know that Microsoft 365 family subscription has gone up in price in the last 18 months, and not sort of giving an easy option to go back to not having the higher price. So there is a way that you can avoid that Copilot extra charge, but it's not easy to do so on the family subscription. So a lot of people might be looking for alternatives to Microsoft that they don't have to pay an annual fee for. So we thought we'd have a look at those. So very good. All right. So the first one, can I ask Sandra and Barry, do you have the Microsoft not-for-profit grant for your computer club? No. Okay. Have you heard of it before?
Yes, we have heard of it, but I looked at it and I wondered whether there were so many hoops to jump through that maybe we didn't cater, it wasn't catering for us.
Yeah, so ASCCA have had it for quite a while now, and we will be impacted by the changes to the grant, but it's not insurmountable for us. I think we need to sort of have a think if we do need any paid subscriptions or not, because I'll put the price list up in a minute for everyone to have a look at. So, but basically the club needs to be either registered with the ASCCA, which is the path of least resistance. That's the easiest way because you've gone through the hoops for your ASCCA registration. So the ASCCA is the Australian Charities and Not-for-Profits Commission, and relies on community organisations and not-for-profits to submit an annual financial report and to report their directors, etc. So all the checks and balances have basically been done. So. But the first step for clubs, if I can just share my, I didn't turn on my do not disturb. That's not good. Right, they're gone. So it's probably a scam anyway. So the first thing that you would need to do is register with Connecting Up. So the website, if I can just move it, is connectingup.org. We will put some links in the chat panel if you're interested. Connecting Up is the Microsoft products, as well as a whole bunch of other not-for-profit discounts from other software companies and so forth. So you can jump in here and you can see there's a whole bunch of other services that Connecting Up offer. Good morning, Alan. How are you?
Good morning. Sorry I'm a bit late, but I only
okay.
About this very shortly.
That's all right.
We are subscribed to Connecting Up, so we get the newsletters about them.
Oh, very good. Yes. So they have products for sale. That can be hardware as well as software. They have training opportunities. They host a conference, I think, each year or so as well. So there's lots in that space. So it's definitely worth your club being registered under here. But if we came into the products and did a search and just search for the Microsoft, you can see that there's Microsoft 365 non-profit cloud subscription. That's a free one. The Copilot, that's also free, I think, but you'd have to click on there to check. So there's a whole bunch of other bits and pieces in there if you've got high-end tech needs, which, to be fair, we don't. We're just basically using the Microsoft 365 suite, and we're using Business Basic and Business Standard so that we can host our emails on there, so it doesn't cost us to host email addresses on our own domain, etc. So that's one of the benefits of having your own Microsoft product, even if you're not using the Business Basic for the Word and Excel and OneDrive, etc., you can have your emails hosted in there, and you've got enterprise level security on the inbox for your club, and you can be hello@newcastle.com.au or hello@castlehillcompels.com.au. So if that's what you're interested in, saves the hassle. And then you can set up things like shared mailboxes and all of that sort of stuff for all sorts of things. So that's the next level nerdy bit. So to be eligible for the Microsoft, you have to be a registered charity. So you have to be incorporated or a benevolent or a public, public benevolent organisation or an NGO. So you have to be based here in Australia, have an ABN for your club, and it does say that you must be listed on the Australian Charities and Not-for-Profits Commission or equivalent. Now, I do know that we tried to register with the ACNC for our Rotary Club, and they rang me and said, you don't need to be registered. So I don't know why Rotary Clubs are different. So, and we still have got access to the Microsoft not-for-profit product. So, yeah. But after the 1st of July, they are going to be tightening their eligibility criteria, focusing on the ACNC registered charities and DGR status organisations. So I would jump in now if you're thinking about it. You've got a month or so to get in if you decide that this is how you want to drive it. And yeah, so you just need to go to the Connecting Up site, and then it will potentially send you to the Microsoft not-for-profit website, which is nonprofit.microsoft.com. Now that has taken us to the American one. Can you see in the URL how it's got US? I'm just going to type that as AU because that's where I want to be. Just a little tweak there so that you make sure that you're talking Australian product. Normally the geofences are pretty good at making sure that you're in the right space. No, it's taking me back to the American site. Okay, so there is a pre-check here. So you can click on the start button there and select your location. There we go. That's why it sent me to the American one. And then you would have to select what your primary purpose is or primary activity is for your club. So I think we would be looking at social services and support for ASCCA clubs. And then you would go down and fill out the other bits and pieces. And are you signing to your non-profit hub, which would be the account that you would set up for your club, and you would either create an on Microsoft account or use your email address and go from there. So it's not too complicated, but it's not the most simple of processes either. So, but once you have it, it makes life a lot easier for your club once you've got all of those. I mean, the biggest thing for me is the hosting of the emails. That saves you a lot of money by not having to pay for email hosting elsewhere. There's OneDrive and there's SharePoint, and you have access to things like Microsoft Teams, which is a huge savings for clubs. And the big part of why we moved off Zoom and onto Teams, because the Zoom didn't have as big a saving for us. It was actually costing us money. And when Teams is built into Microsoft 365 product, ASCCA decided that no point spending money when we're already getting an equivalent out of our Microsoft grant. So definitely worth having a look at that.
And it was reciprocal sort of support, because they supported us, so we supported them.
Yes, that's right. Yes. So the changes that are coming for the free version after the 1st of July, I'll just get the pricings up. So you can still access the business standard products after the 1st of July, but it won't be for free. So I've just done a quick research this morning. So the Business Basic basically means that you can have access to all of the Microsoft products in a browser. So you can access Word, you can access Excel, PowerPoint, you've got forms, you've got Teams, everything, but it must be browser based and you need to be online to access those. Plus you get your email, and you can have SharePoint sites and you get a OneDrive per user. So you can have up to 300 free users under that Microsoft free account with the Business Basic. Now, if you decide that you need desktop versions of Word and Excel and PowerPoint, etc., then you will need to go to the business standard pricing. And so that pricing is $4.50 per user per month. So that gives you everything in the basic. So you have your email hosting as well. You have all of the Office apps, and it increases to having a webinar tool in your Microsoft Teams. So you can host webinars rather than just meetings. We're using meetings for what we're doing here. So the webinars are sort of, I don't know, if you have a big conference and you want 400 or 500 people coming along, then you definitely need to go webinar. So there is a business premium. That price goes up. There are no free user allowances anymore. You used to be able to access 10 of those. That has advanced security and device management protocols in there. So if your organisation has some Windows machines and you want to be able to control them with your Microsoft account, you can make sure you know where they are and remotely control who logs in and who doesn't log in to the business environment, then that's the one that you want. So, and then there's enterprise level versions as well, that they're for larger charities and organisations that have very, very large operations. So not us and potentially not our club. So yeah, does anybody have any questions about the Microsoft not-for-profit access? No? Very good.
I've actually got one about the hosted emails, but you don't have to
Yes.
waste time. You can tell me afterwards if you like, because yeah, I think there's a few groups in Walpole who would very much like to, have their emails hosted. So unless anybody wants to hear about it here.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind hearing about that.
Yep. So what is your question particularly, Jen?
In that, does it have to be like a Microsoft type email? Can it be, what I'm getting at is, if the whole domain, if you've got an email connected to a domain, can you just have that particular email address hosted, or you can?
So what happens is, so my email address and our ASCCA email addresses, we own the domain, or we rent the domain. You don't own the .aus, you rent them.
Yes.
So we rent the domain off of a domain provider, and we then would do what's called tenanting the Microsoft account. So we tenant it with that domain. So the domain is connected into your Microsoft account, and then so before you connect a domain into the Microsoft account, you will get users. So you can use this without having email hosting, but your account would then be jen@ascca.onmicrosoft.com, for example. So because we have tenanted the ASCCA Microsoft account with ascca.org.au, we can then have jennifer@ascca.org.au, and that's your username and that's your profile and everything's attached to that. Has that explained it, or not really?
Sort of, but I think I'll talk to you later, because it's my private email that I was thinking about rather than ASCCA.
Oh,
on the walpole.org.au domain.
Yeah, so you would have to own the domain.
Yeah,
to tenant Microsoft account with it. You can't do it if you don't own the domain.
No,
so
fair enough. Okay, well, that's answered it. I'm stuck.
Yeah.
So, it has a limit. That's the problem. See, hosted emails have a limit. And of course, I've had this email since 1998, and I have exceeded the limit, the capacity, so many times. And it now costs to extend it, or I need to dispense with some archives.
Yes. Do you need 20-year-old emails?
No, probably not.
Almost
Or
30-year-old email. Yeah, exactly.
It's called
So-
My
decluttering.
filing system is very extensive, you know.
Digital declutter day. Maybe that's our next clubs forum. How to have a digital declutter.
Yep.
Yeah, short of having a hardware meltdown. So yeah, not the ideal way to declutter. So yeah.
No.
Right. If that's it for the free stuff for clubs, yeah. No other questions?
Well, as long as I've got the recording of this session, I'll be able to pass that on to the man in our system there that looks after our domain hosting and all that sort of stuff, and he can think about it.
Yeah. So I have a guy that helps me in my business because I run a lot of Microsoft setups for small businesses up here, and what we do is we register the domain with an Australian-based domain registration company called Venture IP. And then what we do is we set up the Microsoft accounts for the businesses or the not-for-profits, and then we tenant the Microsoft account with that domain, and we tell Microsoft to manage the DNS settings, which are basically the signal guards in the back end of the internet telling things where to go. So the DNS would be mail hosting, then there's DNS for the website. So everything's in your Microsoft account. It's all controlled in one spot. You don't have to go back into your Venture account and change the DNS settings in there. It all stays in Microsoft. It's just how Jeff and I run things, and it seems to be working for us at the moment. So yeah, because there's nothing worse than having some DNS here and some there, and if you change it in one, then it messes up the other. So at least if it's all in the Microsoft account, you know that your emails are gonna keep receiving and sending, and you're happy days. And there's a lot of security in the back end of the Microsoft product as well. So yeah.
What limit do they have on the storage on the email?
As in the mailbox storage limit?
I think it's about 20 gigabytes.
Depends what product you've got. So generally for the business basic and the business standard, it's 50 gigs per mailbox. But then if you start setting up things called shared mailboxes, they use a portion of the 50 gig for the team that they're in. So shared mailboxes are things like you might have a Sandra at and a Barry at and a hello at, and then you might have treasurer, secretary, etc. But what you might do is have
your audio is stalling there.
Oh, everyone else or not?
No.
No. Okay. Right. No. Can you
Must be just our connection.
Yeah.
That's okay. That makes me feel better. Sorry, but but it's not me. I was just saying before, we've had 81 mil overnight at the end of May, which this is our dry season. So the farmers are in a tiz because we've had a wet season day. So yeah, not good. Yeah. So okay. So basically, it's Microsoft offer that for free. I think Google have a not-for-profit version as well, but I haven't been in that space and I'm not 100% certain how that might work. So it might be worth having a look if that's your preference and you're already in the Google space. So that's probably the segue for me to go into how to support your members to find Microsoft 365 alternatives. What used to be called Microsoft Office is now called Microsoft 365. So that is Word, Excel, PowerPoint. They're getting rid of Publisher, or is that gone already?
No, next year.
Next year. So Publisher is going. So any of those sorts of apps that you use on your desktop, if that's how your learners would like to use them, then the option for them is either pay the annual subscription or buy the standalone. And the annual subscription just went up in the last 12 months to include a fee to cover their Copilot costs. And so you don't really get an option to opt out. You just get charged the extra straight away. So if you've got clients that are on Microsoft 365 subscriptions and they haven't yet renewed, it's worth encouraging them to jump into their family Microsoft account and just checking when their renewal date is, and because it will automatically go up, whether they've got the personal or the family. So there's a difference in pricing, and they've gone up significantly. I think it was $50 for the personal year, which is almost a 50% increase. And then the family version went up from $129 to $159, maybe
something like that. Yeah. I think I paid $179.
Yes,
and I've got a family version. I did pay it till next year just to give me some breathing space to decide what I wanted to do, because there's a couple of programs that I really wanted to keep. So I've pretty well decided that when the time comes, I will be buying a standalone with the serial number, and they've got a 2024 version, and I figured that that'd see me out. Once I got that, I don't think I'll have any more after that.
Yeah.
And it's reasonably priced. You get a serial number and you've got it forever. Yeah.
Yeah. Just make sure you can do updates with that, Jen.
Oh yes, and they are they do update them. Yes.
Yeah. Yep.
They do provide the support.
Yeah, so that's an option. So when you do pay for Microsoft Personal or Family, you do get a terabyte of OneDrive storage with it. And so that's one of the decision-making, one of the key thoughts that you need to think about as to what you're going to do with your data if you are relying on that cloud. So some of the free options, you get 5 gigabytes free with your Microsoft account if you have a free Microsoft account. And with that free Microsoft account, so you just would need to have either, if you've got a Hotmail address or an Outlook.com address, you already have one. But if you've set up a Microsoft 365 subscription, then that would become your Microsoft account. If you didn't pay and you went back to the free one, you would have browser-based access to Word and Excel, etc. So that might be okay for you. And then you've got 5 gigabytes of OneDrive storage instead of a terabyte. So if cloud storage isn't a concern, that might be adequate for some of your members. So just being aware of what's out there is an important part of our role as clubs and advisors for everyone, I think. The other alternative would be to consider going to something like Google Workspace, used to be called G Suite. So they have a Word equivalent, an Excel equivalent, a OneDrive equivalent. They have a PowerPoint equivalent, and they also have email hosting included in that. So it's a Gmail address, obviously. So has anybody used the Google Workspace before?
Yeah.
Yeah. So what about you, Alan? Have you heard of and used Google Workspace and Sheets?
I've used Gmail for years. I use other Google products.
Excellent. So you're all quite comfortable? I probably don't need to go over how to set up new documents and filing for Google stuff then. Oh, that's
our subscription with Google gives us 2 terabytes of cloud storage.
Oh, right. So you pay for Google for your club or for personal?
We Google One, I think they call it.
That's a personal account because of the amount of photos that we.
Yes. So the Google Cloud for the free accounts does give you 15 gigabytes, which is lovely. It's more generous than Apple and Microsoft, just quietly. But what is the subscription for Google One worth, Sandra and Barry? Can you?
Now you're testing. No, I don't recall.
All right, I can Google that myself. Yeah.
But it's a shared one. It's a family sharing thing. So it's got both of our accounts and storage in there. There's plenty of storage for us.
Oh, that's good. So that acts a bit like the Apple subscription when you've got family sharing, so you can share your iCloud
on that as well.
Yeah, that's right. And that's the thing. Like, it's wonderful. There's so many options, but at what point do you rein the budget in and go, okay, we can afford one or the other, or you might have one for personal stuff and then one for your work stuff or something like that. So you just got to
stuff. We've got our Gmail for the club.
That's nothing to do with that.
No, nothing to do with that. But all of our emails and so forth are separate Gmail accounts. So we've got one for the club, one for the president, secretary, treasurer, one for social, you know, you name it. We've got multiple Gmail accounts. And each of those has got that 15 gigabytes of storage that we use.
It's not not a Google one.
No, well, the Google one's just on our own personal one.
Yeah, so with that, you have got multiple Google accounts and no way to control all of that organisational data.
Not collectively. So it's a pain in the backside when I've got to update contact lists or something. I've got to edit one, then export it, and then delete all of the out of the other emails that need the contact list, and then import them in there. So you know.
Yeah.
Hence, there is a problem in succession planning.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. We had a conversation about succession planning the other day. I can't remember what context that was, but yes, it's very important. So yeah.
Well, they say as soon as you're appointed in a particular role, you should be looking for your successor straight away and training them up.
He's trying. I already had one, but she's not coming to the party.
Our constitution says that the executives can only be in their role for 4 years. I'm in my 4th year now, so come August I have to vacate, unless there is no one forthcoming and they pass a special resolution to extend my term for another 12 months.
They did that for me during COVID. They've done it for others. Yeah, so they're just as likely to do it.
We can't find some young blood, and that's the hard part, because all of the committee are in their late 70s, 80s, and none of them are prepared to step up. We're looking for other people who are young fellas. They're either their 50s and 60s, and to get them on the committee.
Yeah, maybe a wine and cheese night.
They're still playing bowls or golf.
Oh, stop it. I'm in my 50s. Come on, Jen. I gave up the dolls ages ago.
I said all right. Golf and bowls.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, bowls, right. I thought you said dolls. I'm like, I don't think so.
Wash your ears out, come back.
I'm gonna skip on to the Apple stuff quickly, because then I'm gonna hand on to Deborah to talk about Libra and Apache and a few other free downloadable options. So if your club or if your learner has already got Apple devices, they get the Apple equivalent to Microsoft 365 for free with their devices now. So you can, I'll just show you the logged in version. So they are very moving slowly with the times, Apple have. So this is the iCloud, this is the ASCCA iPad. So I've been able to sign into that, and you can see I could set up an iCloud email address similar to what Google offers, similar to what Microsoft's Outlook offers, etc. But then you can see in here, oh, there's a new shiny one called Invites. I wonder what that is. I'll have to investigate. I haven't seen that one before. But you can see you've got pages and numbers. So, and you can see our use storage, our plan, that it's a free one, and then there's data recovery options down there. You can customize your dashboard. You've got access to the notes, but the pages works within the browser if you need it to. Just give it a moment to come over. And this is the Word equivalent for Apple products. You can download that on Mac and iOS. So use Pages. And this gives me the little storage cabinet of what's in there. There's obviously nothing in there because we haven't used it, but we can click the plus and it will open up a new blank document. And so you've got some templates there to play around with. They're very snazzy looking templates in some respects. There's letters, there's CVs. If you wanted to create a for sale poster, if you're having a garage sale or something like that, you could maybe do your club newsletters in there if you're in a Mac environment. I do find this is a little bit easier to use once you get your head around all of the parts than trying to get it in Word. Word gets a bit fussy about where you put things, etc. And hence,
it's got a mind of its own.
And,
yeah,
and you don't want to stay where you put them.
well, and so there's that, and then the other thing is when you're creating a Word document to make it fully accessible, you can't use the wraparound features, etc. So to have a fully accessible document, it has to be not as attractive, if that makes sense. You can't use all the fancy bits and pieces. So yeah, so there's options in here. I do find it a little bit easier to move things around in Apple stuff, but yeah, some lovely templates in there to make life easier. And then there's always, if you do have a Mac, you've got the desktop based versions, or on your iPad, or if you can be bothered on your phone, on your iPhone, you can download them. But you can see in the Pages app, there's all the same sort of templates available in the desktop version. And then the numbers option is the same as Excel. Again, they've got some lovely fancy looking templates in there. They're pretty straightforward once you go in. We're just going to create a blank Pages document. And you can see all of the little bits and pieces look quite similar. All of the icons are, all of the same options as you would have in a Word document. It's just a matter of getting your head around how they work and what one means what. The format tab can stay on the side rather than up in the top bar. Just, yeah. So does anyone use Pages here? Or numbers or Sweet? Yeah. They're a lot.
I do use it from time to time.
Yeah.
Most of our work is done on the Windows machine, but we've got Mac and we can go onto it and do it when we choose to do so.
Excellent. It's nice to be able to sort of flip between them and have options, isn't it? So, yeah, excellent. Any other questions about the Apple iWork suite? Nothing? Okay, well, in that case, I'm going to hand over to Deborah, who's going to talk to us about Libra and Apache and a few other bits and pieces. There's also a secure download site for making sure that you're downloading things.
Pardon our picture coming and going. It's automatically turning itself off. We must be having a bit of bandwidth problem.
Okay, no worries.
Okay, you're seeing my screen?
Yes,
I am.
Yeah. Still not comfortable with Microsoft Teams, but I'm working on it. So before I talk about the alternatives to Microsoft Office 365, I thought I would tell you about the Ninite website, because I kind of assume everybody knows about it, but apparently not. It's ninite.com, and it's a website where you can safely download free software. And I'll show you what that looks like in a minute. And they say they install about 1 million apps a day for their free home users and their pro subscribers. They've got some complimentary reviews in the mail. They always download the latest version. If you run your installer again from Ninite, it updates the apps to the latest version, so you could install it now and then run the installer again in a year's time and get the latest version. It doesn't download any junk, and it automatically picks the right version for your PC. So for the documents free document options that it offers, it's got 3 PDF readers and LibreOffice and OpenOffice. Doesn't have Apache Office, and I don't actually know very much about Apache, so I'm going to not dwell on that. Just to show you the difference between LibreOffice and OpenOffice, they've both got word processing, spreadsheets, presentations like slideshows, databases. LibreOffice has got drawing, OpenOffice has got drawing, and some sort of maths function, which I've never played with. They're both compatible with Microsoft Office documents, so you can kind of open a document created by OpenOffice in a Word application if you were sending it to somebody else, and I think vice versa. They both run on Windows, Mac, and Linux. I would be recommending LibreOffice because it's still being actively developed by the open source community. So it's got better support for modern file formats, whereas OpenOffice is like a legacy suite where they're not doing a lot of development on it. And LibreOffice actually forked off from OpenOffice in about 2010. So I kind of got a bit interested in the history of where this open source software came from. But it was originally Sun Microsystems bought the software and offered it as a free alternative to Microsoft Office. So LibreOffice is what I'm going to show you. But first I will show you the Night download if my link works. Maybe not. Okay, I'll just escape out of that and go to Night. There we go, night.com. Looks like this. Has those things that I told you about. Here's the collection of apps, free apps that you can download from Night. It'll have some that you're familiar with, like Chrome and Firefox, and probably some that you don't know. It's got some free security apps, which are probably worth telling members about. It's got some messaging apps, online storage like Dropbox. Keeping in mind the download is free, but you may have to pay a subscription for some of these if you need the fancier version. So what I'm showing you is documents, and this is what you would do if you were going to download LibreOffice. You would click on that little button next to there. You can download more than one app at a time and have them all combined in one installer, which I think is great. And then you just download it, and it asks where you want to do it, so we'll put it into my downloads folder, and then you would just do the installation. I won't take it any further than that because I've already got the installer there, and I have already installed LibreOffice, and it does take a while to install. So if I just now go to LibreOffice, this is what it looks like. It's got the interface is a bit like Google Docs in that it's got Writer, Calc, Impress, Presentations, Draw, Maths, and the database all on the left-hand side. So whereas in Word, you would just open Word separately from opening Excel, you can open all of them from this interface. And if we go to Writer, gives you a free tip. You get the blank sheet and you get a ribbon that looks very much like a Word ribbon with the tabs, File, Edit, View, Insert, and so on. So
very much like Microsoft, isn't it?
Yeah, so I think anybody who's familiar with Microsoft Word would not have very much difficulty in translating over to LibreOffice. Don't know that it has the same. Oh no, look, we've got templates too.
Yeah. Manage templates, there you go.
But, I don't know.
You'd probably have to go, you'd have to go new, and
you probably have to go and get the template from somewhere. So I don't use it because I use Microsoft Word for most of the things I do, but I think it's a very viable alternative for anybody who doesn't want to pay Microsoft. And if you use Night in conjunction with it, easy to keep updated. Or you could just go off and, I'm assuming, check for updates. Yes. Any questions about Night or LibreOffice?
Yes, Deborah. LibreOffice, when you've finished your document or whatever you're doing, do you have to export it as you do from Pages on in Apple? Export as a particular thing, or do you just save it and then?
Yeah.
Does it save in the cloud?
Well, it's saved to your computer. So this is an app installed on your on your computer, so it's not like Google, which is cloud-based. If I save my test doc, what you'll see is it by default saves as open document, test document, but I can save as, I can save to docx or any of those other formats if I want to.
Great.
Yeah.
It doesn't have a PDF option, which Word does, which is a bit of a pain.
Yeah.
So would you'd be able to print to PDF though, wouldn't you? From in there?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
So
I see there's 20. So Deborah, I do have a question for that one as well. If you save it as a .docx, so a Word document for Microsoft 365, when you open it, will it automatically open in Libra?
Find out.
Yeah.
Save. Where am I saving it to? Let's just make sure I'm saving to the right place. We'll call it ASCCA test doc. And I'm saving it as a docx file, and I'm saving it in my documents library.
Use the format.
Yes, and a little warning about formatting.
Yeah.
May contain
so
formatting.
You can untick.
Yeah. So bugger that.
Right.
Right. And then if we shut that down and we go off to, sorry, you're going to see my really messy.
I'm sure it's not.
I'm sure it is. And ASCCA test doc. It's so showing as a Word document.
Yeah.
And it's opening in.
Yeah. So you'd have to right click and open as the. So I'd be interested to see opening the Word document version back in Libra.
So let's do that.
Pain. No. So you could right click it from there and open.
I could do it that way, couldn't I? All right, let me do that. Right, back to, as I told you, right click. And open with LibreOffice. There you go.
There it is.
So it's backwards and forwards compatible between Word and Libra.
Yeah. And then I wonder if if you type some more words there and then press save, does it still save it as a Word document version? Sorry, I've got questions.
I've now got it in LibreOffice. I've just got to get my head around what I'm doing. Testing more. And if I just go save, so I'm in Libra.
And I shut it down.
And
go back to where it was.
So there you go. That's pretty good. If you do that first step and set it as a Word document, then you're not having to mess around with it. Yeah. That is very good. Jen, that might be a good alternative for you.
It might be. I was just going to make a comment that, given that Walpole's such a tiny town, we only have one tech guy who lives permanently and works full-time in tech support. And he's been really a godsend to the whole town, me in particular. He's even fixed Nan's laptop from Walpole into Northern Beaches remotely years ago, before anyone really even heard about that sort of thing. And he swears by LibreOffice. He really swears by it.
Yeah.
Also, too, there's while we're talking about free things, you know how Google, Gmail, there's very little, if any, opportunity to do any folder filing and have subsections in your, your list of inboxes and things like that. And he advocates Mozilla Thunderbird. And I use Thunderbird a lot for organisations that have got a Gmail, and you know, you can put all your filing folders and everything in there, and you get little alerts when they email, and it's a knockoff really of Outlook, and it works really well. So all free. Everybody's free. Yeah.
Yeah.
You can.
There are lots. There are lots and lots of options out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you, Deborah. That was really good. I always learn lots of things.
Yeah, I like learning from you too.
Well,
Yeah.
you never stop learning, do you?
Yeah. Does anyone have any questions for Deborah?
We
won't
stop
out with questions.
I can.
Sure.
I'm a LibreOffice user.
Good.
Have been, well, I also use Microsoft 365. I mix between them. In fact, I prefer the LibreOffice spreadsheet to Excel, even though I've been using Excel for 30 years. And there are little oddities, and the compatibility between the two. I have arguments with our ex-president in my group, who's a real LibreOffice fan and won't even mention Microsoft as a name, and it's 99.9% compatible. But if you have complicated documents, particularly things like newsletter, things that you're doing in, say, Microsoft Word, and you're sharing doing it and sending it backwards and forwards between a LibreOffice user and a Microsoft Word user, are oddities that come in.
Yeah, that's like,
you know, if you're doing word processing, for example, as an example, or any of these things, or yourself predominantly, or to send a copy to someone else, do their editing on it and send it back to you. It's far better if you're using the same systems.
So that's where my suggestion would be, if you're doing that at a club level, which is more likely than the home user, jump into one of those free Microsoft products or the free Google Suite, because that cloud-based stuff makes that collaboration side of things so much easier, so much more reliable. We actually, to sort out our e-news each month, we have a live Word document, and that's where all of the copy goes in, and we put our photographs in there, etc. And that's where Jen can jump into that and she can proofread it, and then we go and lay it out in MailChimp and on the website as well, once it's all been proofed in that collaborative document, where Deborah can go and put her content in there, I can put mine in, Jen puts hers. So we've got 3 or 4 of us that are jumping in and out of that Word document. And to be fair, the formatting is not such a concern with that one, because we don't put that out forward facing. That's the downloadable version, so we strip that right back to printer friendly, so that you can download that out of the MailChimp if you want it all in one spot and to print it out. But yeah, it's much better collaboratively when you're in that same space, isn't it?
Yeah.
Easier now than it used to be, for sure.
Yeah.
By the way, I've done it this morning.
Good job. Excellent. Very good. All right. Anything else on what we've talked about today, or anything else that anyone wants to chat about?
I've just got a question maybe for Deborah or Teak, I don't mind who. I sometimes have need to convert a Word document, a PDF to a Word document. And the free ones are cumbersome to muck around with, and I have paid, and I did have a program, but in Libra, is there any, out of all of that software that was available, was there any sort of PDF conversion?
I didn't see anything.
No.
And if I open up Writer, which is where it would be, and I go File Save As, there is. Sorry, I'm not sharing my screen, and I should be.
It's all right. I can listen.
There's no option to save to PDF. And if I go File Print, go away. Sorry. There. I'll print, which is what I would often do in there. There is, well, this is interesting, isn't it? Adobe PDF.
Yep.
Yes,
You also have
but
an export
converting
button
back
there as well.
from a PDF to a doc or a docx.
So I have just perplexity'd what is a good free PDF converter to Word.
Okay, I'll stop sharing and you can show us your Perplexity screen.
Yeah. I'm loving Perplexity. Deborah, you gave me a good one there. So it is telling me that there's an app called PDF Candy. Offers a clean, easy to use interface, does not require registration, provides high conversion accuracy while allowing multiple file conversions at once. So other notable free options are listed there, Jen. So small PDF,
Okay.
I love PDF, PDF Gear. What I'll do is I will copy that and paste that in the chat for anyone who might be interested in that. And there's references included in that. So that's what I love about Perplexity.
Excellent. I mean, I have tried just about every program known to man free. I've even, bought one of the programs. And the other day I had need to convert a quote. And the only thing I could find out was one that charged me $1.95 US for the document, and it was very important and I really needed it, so I thought that was worthwhile, but I don't really want to pay $1.95 US every time I want to convert a PDF. So I've fiddled around and sometimes they're more cumbersome than they're worth, so I'll be interested to have a look at those other ones. Thanks.
Just a word of warning on that, Jen. Did you have to pay by credit card?
PayPal.
Good, they've got PayPal. But even just be careful of further on charges, because Barry
we got caught in a scam with a QR code thing that was
which
around.
should have been free, but anyway.
Well, it purported to be. Fortunately, we've got our money back now by the look of it.
Good.
But
they were making monthly subscriptions.
Monthly subscriptions of $45.90 US a month, and about $80 a month.
Oh yeah, and there was no continue. It was one QR code that he was paying a certain amount for, and I said, "Why did you do that?" Because I know that you can usually get one free on Google, but it was all done. So.
So if you do need to create QR codes and you've got the Canva edition, so your club can access Canva under the not-for-profit. They've got a donations program themselves, but you apply through Canva. The dynamic QR code in there, there's a whole bunch of different apps in Canva where you can create QR codes, and I use that pretty much exclusively now for QR codes.
We've eventually done the one on Google, but it was for the beginning survey program for Good Things.
Yep, Be Connected. Yep.
Huge long URL. But I'm having trouble with that because I have one to test yesterday, and I don't think it's come through. It's not coming through to our.
You won't see it, Sandra. I've had all of my digital mentors that have done the training. I'm up to about 30 odd mentors for this round, and no, I can't see any of their surveys in the back end.
It's supposed to be that the test I did went through. And you can see it. I can't see it, but I know it's done. It's like shown that it's a different type of layout, but it's there. And the two people did theirs, and theirs came through. Then after that, no one, even people I've asked to do it twice, and I've sat with to make sure that they've submitted it correctly. It has not happened. So I'm back on to good things to see what's going on.
Good, because I can't see any of the ones that have been completed by people at my end. So it's quite concerning when that's one of your grant requirements and you can't see them. And it's like, I know that they've done them. I have asked them to email them to me, and some have, some haven't, because we're usually kicking off the day. So I will follow that up with them as well. So.
I've actually seen that it's come through to them, but I haven't had them email it to me yet.
Yes, it's not great, but anyway. So, any other?
Just watch on that score about having paid for that particular PDF.
Yeah, I will. I will. I did get well, shouldn't have been caught, but a similar situation happened to me when I was in Perth a couple of times back, and I had Uber Eats, and a little box sort of flicked past off my iPad, and next minute I'm subscribed to Uber Eats. Well, like I'm nearly 500 kilometres away from the nearest Uber Eats. There's no way I would subscribe. It was a novelty at the time, but their website and their contact email and everything was unable to be accessed. They had no online form to complain or register, whatever. So I can't remember. I think I went to PayPal on that one as well. Anyway, it got cancelled for sure.
Yeah, Barry had the same problem with trying to
with that QR code thing. There was no way that you could communicate with the company behind it.
And here we are, pretty, tech savvy seniors who's supposed to know it all. Just imagine the ones who aren't even half as, savvy as we are. How no wonder Australians are getting scammed for absolutely millions every year.
Exactly.
And I think conversations like this are super important, because like a lot of people don't sort of know, they're embarrassed that they've been caught by these things, but it's becoming increasingly difficult to tell what's scammy and what's not, because of generative AIs getting smarter and all of that sort of stuff. So it's really important to keep having these conversations about these sorts of things. And the other thing is making sure that you report them.
Yes.
So do you know how to report to cyber.gov?
Yes.
Yep. So because even though it might not be big dollars, it's those consistent things, and there's no easy opt-out, etc. So the more people that report those sorts of things to the appropriate channels, the more power there is behind them being able to go in and act on that and hold these companies to account if they are. Like Uber Eats is a legit company.
Absolutely.
So they need to be hold over the coals to say, well, that's not appropriate. You need to put an opt-out button. I mean, crikey, you've got to put an opt-out button out of bulk emails.
Yes.
But because it's law. So surely when there's money involved, it should be law that they cannot sign you up to something where there's not the opt-out clearly visible and actionable. So
with the QR code thing, I'd lodged a dispute with Westpac, who were our MasterCard providers.
You didn't have PayPal, by the way.
I didn't. It didn't give me a PayPal option in that QR code thing. Purportedly, I was getting a one-off free thing. It then decided to bill me for the $1.95 US, which was over $2 Australian. I thought, well, as a one-off, I'll afford that. But then it sprung me into this monthly.
Right.
Now, it didn't matter. You had the help site on their website, which is very professionally done, gave you all sorts of instructions on what to do. but there were no, when you went to it, there were no links there to contact them or to be able to unsubscribe or cancel a payment or do anything other than increase the payments.
Cheeky.
The only thing I could do then was when I'd lodged it with the bank, they were pretty prompt. They refunded the last one out of the 4 transactions that had gone through. I got the first one back within a matter of days, but I was a bit concerned that I was going to get stuck with the others. But today I noticed that they've refunded the others as well, so they were able to get the money back. But they had to close my old MasterCard account and issue a new one, which is still pending. I've got to wait for that to come through. I have to go through all of the regular people who debit our MasterCard account and notify the change of the credit card number. And the bank said that there was no way they could universally block charges from that company so that other users on Westpac wouldn't get similarly caught. So what they said was that to do as you said, report it to the official channels, which hopefully would have a more system-wide option to be able to block those kinds of things. And if it's not, it's about the time they got busy and created the legislation and forced the companies to have those sort of blocks.
Absolutely, for sure. Just on that cybersecurity tangent, I suppose, did you read in last month's e-news that there's the Cyber Warden program? So it's particularly aimed at small businesses. However, I would highly recommend any clubs. I'll put the links going in the chat now. You can do it at your own pace. So my business has partnered with Cyber Wardens. So I'm an advocate for everyone, whether you're a not-for-profit or a business or an individual, to go through and do this. And the idea is each business or organisation should have a cyber warden. So at least one cyber warden, if not more. It's like having a first aid officer or a occupational health and safety officer. So it's their responsibility to keep checking in and making sure that people are across things. So there's I think there's 3 now or 4. There's one particularly for health providers, so businesses that are providing health and wellbeing services, because they have a bit next level requirement for security and stuff like that. But it's just an overview, and it's short, sharp, it's simple language. It's designed to be aimed at small businesses because they're time poor. They're usually the ones that do everything, and they're usually the most complacent because they're like, oh, we're just small fry, what would they care about us? But they do care because they know that you're small fry and that you don't give it the attention that it needs, and you don't have the resources that the big companies have to put into cybersecurity and stuff. So, but the resources are all there, so jump in.
And I signed up and I've done the first course. And when I get home, I haven't been home for 10 days. So when I get home this afternoon, I'm going to, go on to 2, 3 and 4. It's brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, and there's resources there that you might want to use in your club as well, and they're all online and accessible by everyone. So use those. They're funded by the feds, and
they've got a very large promotion budget.
Thank you all very much for your time today.